Hello, hola chamas y chamos. Welcome back a new episode of Alvaro Dev Labs. So I finally set up my office, my home office. Maybe I can show you a little bit. I have all my nerdy crazy stuff here, my guitar. I do have these awesome Demon Slayer Legos. And I have a really nice neon light that maybe remember you some front-end technology that we all love. And yes, that's what we are going to talk about today. I made two videos regarding Vite. One was a fairly simple intro to the technology, like how to serve application using Vite and Vue. And the other was about how to test your code using Vitest, which is the latest project on the ecosystem. Today, I want to dig a little bit more in the build process, like how you can use Vite to produce bundles for your production applications. If you don't have previous experience with Vite or you don't know what is exactly, I recommend you to check first this video before continuing with this one, because it's the one that explains what Vite is about, how it works, etc. So with this short tutorial, you will be able to create a production-ready bundle for your Vite application and upload it in your favorite hosting solution. It could be Virtual, it could be Netlify. Let's get into it. As usual in other tutorials that I do, I'm going to use my template called Vitzone. It's just an opinionated template pack for Vite that has a lot of things included, like using Vue, UMD CSS, components auto-importing, localization out of the box, icons, you name it. So I already have a project set up. It's just a basic Vite app. Nothing else is being served in localhost 4K, and we are going to use this to show how to build applications for production. So I'm gonna leave this here and just to have a little bit of summary on the composition of the Vite application. We have the index HTML. This is the one that is using in the serve, for example, and it has the app and is including the main TS here in source, the main TS as a module. Okay. And here in the package.json, we already have two scripts. One is the dev one that I'm using at the moment, and we have the build one. In this case, because we were using Vue, it's gonna do, and TypeScript also, it's gonna do the typings with no admission, and then it's gonna do the Vite build. This is the one that we're gonna use, okay? So let's open another terminal. Let's just run npm or npm yarn. In my case, I'm using npm pnpm, and we're gonna run build. So first it created the declaration files, and then it's building for production, and it will show you in the console log the different files that were created. If you don't change anything in the configuration, the default one, or the folder, the directory where everything is going to go is this folder, okay, this one here. If we open it, we are going to see that we have a new index HTML that is not pointing anymore to the main TS, but is pointing to this here, assets index. So this is our bundle, or JavaScript bundle, and then we have one for the CSS here. The good thing inside of this asset folder is that depending on how is the architecture of our application, on how we are creating components and so on, we can have different bundles for all our components and probably unload them asynchronously. So this is really good for performance. Right now it's a really simple application. It's not going to have that much, but you can see here that they also add hashes for all the parts of the bundle. How can we see this in the browser, for example? How can we preview it? There is a script called Vite preview. So I'm going to basically use npx Vite preview. npx is something really cool that allows you to run any CLI commands from bundles without needing to install them globally or locally. Okay, in this case I do have Vite installed locally, but it's gonna work right away if I do this. So I'm going to do npx Vite preview. This is gonna take whatever is in this folder and serve it as a like production one. Okay. This is not meant to substitute the production one. You're not gonna run npx Vite preview. It's just a way of checking your production bundles on your local machine. If we check like the difference between these two, we go here to network. This is the one that is being served at the moment, the development one, right? We can see here that is exactly the index that is outside. Also between, like, you can see the main TS here, and it has the code, and you have some source maps and so on. So it's really easy to debug, right? But if we go to the production one that is being previewed, and we go here and network, let's just reload it. You're gonna see like a localhost is the one that is inside of this folder, the index HTML. And then you will see the different bundles that are being loaded here. For example, we had to. Yeah, of course, like this is a really basic application. So let's see how it will be with a more complex one. So here we have a more complex application. When I say complex, this one has a toolbar with some avatars and icons that does nothing. And also it has a synchronous route, which is about. And if we come here and we click show, it will show us an iframe with Giphy with the office. So why am I showing you this? Because now we're going to build our application again using Vite Build. You're going to see how all the asynchronous code, which are this component called the office here. Let's go to about. You can see it here, the office. That is only available if I toggle this button here. We're going to asynchronously load it into our application. And this route is also asynchronous. So if we go to the route, or the router, you will see that we are importing them in an asynchronous way. So that means that whenever we do the build, let's do it here, for example. Let's clear this. And then just npx Vite Build. It's going to create a bundle for each one of those. So it's going to create one for the route index. It's going to create another one for about, and also it's going to create another one for the office, because this chunk of JavaScript from the office component is going to be a synchronous load. If we do the npx Vite preview, you're going to see what's the benefit for performance in a moment. Also, it's important to say, I mean, while this is loading here, that I'm using Vite version 2.9.1. So in the time that you're seeing this tutorial, some things might change depending on the upgrade. I think they're preparing some cool stuff for the version 3. So I'm probably gonna update this if I see so many major changes, but it should be kind of the same. Okay, going back to the preview tab. Okay, we have our component here, and I'm going to check the network. So if I refresh here, we're gonna see that we have the index, and then where is it? This is like the this page right here. Okay, the index one. If we go to about, okay, it's gonna load about, and then it's gonna load the chunk for about. But we don't see the chunk for the office component, and that's because if I click here, you're gonna see that now after I click it, it loaded, and you can see it here. And this is just basically the chunk of code for the office. So this is really powerful because, okay, this is a really basic example, but let's imagine that you have more components that are not available in the view. Okay, let's say a footer or more components down the application. So to improve performance, you can asynchronous load them with an intersection observer, for example. Whenever you're scrolling it will appear in the view and then you load it. And you can do that with Vite. To give you an idea how the build system works in Vite, they use rollup under the hood. For the development, they use Build, and the last time I checked it, it wasn't possible to build with Build. I don't remember. Let me see. Let me check again. So bundle for production. So even though native ESM is now widely supported, shipping and bundle ESM in production is still inefficient. Okay, that's fine. Why not bundle with Build? While Build is blazing fast, it's already capable of bundling for libraries. Okay, it makes sense. Like it's still a work in progress. So for the time being, rollup is more mature and flexible in this regard. So now that we know how to build something really simple, let's see what options do we have for the configuration. So let's go to bit.config. I do have in this template a lot of pre-configured, but let's just add in them here. So if we add build, the IntelliSense is gonna grab it if you're using TypeScript. Let's see what options do we have for our build. So one of the basic one is gonna be the outDir. So with the outDir, we can define a different path that is not this. As default, we see it before, it will build in this folder, right? Let's say we want to do it in another place, like, okay, resolve. And we're gonna create another one, like, I don't know, server, special, yes, server this, right? Resolve from path, okay. So if we do npms from build here, run build, oh my god, npx build, it's gonna say, okay, I'm building for production, and now it changed the outDir when the new code is gonna be hold. So instead of this here, we're gonna have another one. Where is it? Server this. Oh, okay, let's change it here. Probably it's outside of this folder, actually, from the root. So let's do it again. Yeah, we'll server this, and now we're gonna have it here. I need to delete the other one. But you're gonna have the same thing as this, but in a different folder. Another option that we have is when we are defining the outDir, we can put emptyOutDir. So what it's going to do every time you run, the command is gonna empty the whole folder. In this case, server this is gonna completely erase everything inside and then create the files again. So let's do it, and you're gonna notice, like, in the process, it's so fast that I cannot even refresh here and show you how it is. But basically, it remove everything in the server disk and then add them again, these ones here. Another useful property that you can add here in the build is chunkSizeWarningLimit. So by default, it's about 500 kilobytes per second. If we check here, it's gonna tell us, like, okay, this index here is this amount of storage, right? And in this case, like, the application is really small, so we don't have that many third-party things. Also, like inserting the node modules, like external libraries and so on. So we are not passing any value. But if we change it here, maybe something ridiculously like 50, and we try to build again, you see that we get now a warning in this one that is bigger than 50. This is nice because whenever you're working in your app and you have a team, you want to make sure that the bundle size are stable, that are not that big. So you can set, like, how much your bundle needs to weight in general, and then you can watch if any change surpass that size. Another important one is how we minify our code. I'm going to do it here. So minify, Okay, we can set like the minify to false. So imagine that you have like a preview mode configuration that you want to check how it will be in production but without minifying for some environment without minifying the code. I'm gonna run it again. And you will see now that this, we can have the comparison here, that's nice. Because this one is the one that is minify, and then in the server disk, we're gonna have the one that is not minify. So if I choose, I'm not choosing the same code, this one and this one. So if I put it one beside the other, you will see that this is the new one that we set minify to be false, and you can see there is different, right? This one is impossible to read. This is more like, okay, I know more or less what is happening. It's creating a button with a class, yada yada, okay? Other options that we have here is tersor, okay? So if we set it to tersor, let's see the difference. Because the default one is ES build, and this is not the default one, so I want to see what's the difference. So the difference is, I actually cannot see the difference right away. I guess there is one on the way it's doing it, but I cannot really say what the difference is. Huh? So this one, okay, and let's tackle this index here. Well, it is different. You can see it here, so probably, let's see like the length of it. How much is, this is 38. And this one is 18. So it's actually more compressed, seems to be, than this one. I wonder what's the difference in size. That could be interesting. Yeah, it does change because check out this one without minifying. Like the size were bigger. And then with the tersor we have this. So tersor is actually lighter in this case than the other one, than this one. The ES build, the one that comes by default. So it's really interesting to see. The next property on your list is really special because it's the one that will allow you to create libraries, let's say a components library for your application using Vite. So it's the one that I use for build dynamic forms, and it's called a leaf. Okay, what is library mode and why Vite has it? Because right now we are building an application, okay, that is going to be served as a static web, for example. It's creating an index.html, it's creating all the bundles, etc. But what if we are creating a library, for example, a library of components to be used in another place? It's exactly the one that I'm using here for my build dynamic forms, for all the forms, reactive forms components. And I'm using this here. So in the build, I'm checking target, which is ES next, and then library mode. What is cool about this, that you can actually set the format of the library that you want to, the bundle. If you want it to be ES modules, if you want it to be a CommonJS. CommonJS is a module system that you normally see in Node.js applications. Use require. Probably you see it with the require. This one is a universal module design. I don't remember quite well, but normally you're gonna be using ES. This one is more like a fallback module package for your library. Okay. Let's try to do the same here in our application. We do have two components here. Let me check on source. So we had three components. Let's say we want to export them as a library, right? So let's create here leaf.ts, and here I'm going to import them. So import hello world from we need to check the components. It's gonna be something like components world. Come on, Copilot, what's happening to you today? So the header from, okay, nice. And well, we don't have the filter, but we do have the office. So let's do it like that. Let's save it. Of course, my TS-lint is gonna complain about it because we are importing it. I'm not doing anything with that. So we need to add here an export, and let's just export the three of them, the header and the office. So that's nice. Then here we're going to add in the build, we're gonna add leaf like this. Maybe I can do it. Okay, leaf. Build leaf. Yeah. Okay. Entry. So we need a resolve. Okay, and their name. Yeah. And we're gonna say exactly source libts. We need a name for it, so we're gonna call it my amazing office library. That's a really lame name. Don't do it like that. And the file name. What do we want for the live name? Well, here is something really cool because you actually can say that it creates one for each format. So let's say this is the name, it's the format, it's gonna be like ESM, UMD, etc. CJS, okay, that's fine. We could say, yeah, what else? Formats. Okay, here we can define them. Let's see what are the default ones, okay? So let's build and see what happens. Okay, so you see now that it only creates a style CSS ES, okay. Oh, well, of course, like, if I don't add the name here, how is it gonna prefix it, right? So let's do it again. Now it creates like a .es and .umd here, which is fine. What happens if we, is ESM? No, it's ES, right? Let's try. Perfect. So now in our server dist, that is going to be like our new library dist. Here I have an issue with, yeah, this shouldn't be in the name, sorry. Too many issues. Now it seems better. Okay, so here you can see like the CJS or the common JS version of it. You can see the ESM or the ES module and the UMD version. And then you can, create a package in npm and install this when you are importing it as a dependency. So that's how you actually create a library using Vite. Of course, these are not the only properties that you can change in the build options. Here you can have, for example, the target. It could be, for example, the browser compatibility target for the final bundle. The default one is modules, but I also see like ES next. It depends, like it has a lot of information. It depends on the library mode also, on the build minify. This one is polyfill module preload. So yeah, by default is true. If you want to automatically inject the module preload polyfill, I'm not gonna explain about it. This one we saw it. This one is similar to this one for the asset folder to change it. If you want to enable or not the CSS cut split, what it does is that if you remove it, well, you are not going to have a different asynchronous chunk for CSS. This one I use it quite often to change the type of source map. because you're using rollup under the hood, you can actually all the options available for rollup, you can set it in this one here. Also for the common JS, you have another options that you can use for rollup. Yeah, this is the library mode, the one that we were checking before. This one, the manifest, is to create a JSON manifest in order to use it in a different architecture with a backend integration, as well as a SSR mode and a SSR manifest. So I'm not gonna cover server-side rendering today, but let me know if in the comments if you would like a specific video about server-side rendering with Vite. And that's pretty much it for today. I hope you learned something with this tutorial. Please let me know in the comments if you have any doubts or any suggestions for following tutorials about Vite, Vue, you name it. Don't forget to subscribe and drop a like. And I think also sometimes the YouTubers ask for the little notification icon. You can do it if you want. Happy coding everyone, and see you in the next time.